Of all the government's new initiatives, perhaps the Regional Development Fund or Provincial Growth Fund owes the most to a coalition partner's sense of where the cheques need to be written and cashed. This was a New Zealand first baby with $1 billion per annum, and we wanted to look at its application, so we went to the Bay of Plenty forestry village of Minginui. In March, Shane Jones, the Minister of Regional Economic Development, allocated almost $6 million to the Minginui Nursery. It's precisely the kind of spending talked about when the fund was launched. But some locals say if the economically depressed village is to bounce back, funding needs to be directed into the dire state of housing and a lack of infrastructure. So is it working? And is the money going to the right place? The Manu Korihi reporter John Boynton and visual journalist Dan Cook went to Minginui to look for themselves.
There's a mist that has draped itself heavily over the former forestry village of Minginui for the last 30 years. The small Bay of Plenty community in the Whirinaki Conservation Park is about 1.5 hours drive southeast of Rotorua, and it has become the poster child for small towns swept aside by the winds of socio-economic change. Minginui was created as a forestry town in the 1940s, but the privatisation of forest services in the 1980s crippled the small village. Around 300 people still call Minginui home, and the Minginui Nursery is hoping to create positive change and bring the community back to life. Ngāti Whare Group Chairman Bronco Carson says the funding allows for the fast-tracking of the nursery's expansion.
Our aspiration was bringing in employment to Minginui, setting up a platform for that creation of employment, and that's what this nursery has done. It's the start of hopefully a lot of other things to come.
The funding will help to grow almost 1 million native trees at the nursery and is expected to create 90 jobs for the community. Bronco Carson says he's not concerned about moving people who have been without work for the last 3 decades back into the workforce.
Contrary to commentary outside of here, our people are willing to work, as you can see for yourself with those that are already here.
The person responsible for hiring will be Mere George, the General Manager of Ngāti Whare Holdings.
We've got a generation of people within the community that were part of the Forest Service Days, and so the skills have been able to be transferred, and we've got a new generation that are wanting to learn some of those skills.
Mere George says 8 more employees have been hired since the funding announcement. She says workers will have the opportunity to start on minimum wage and move into more senior and administrative positions.
This is about creating an economy, helping be a change agent in our community to, I guess, show people that they don't actually have to leave, that there is a career, there opportunity, there is jobs.
It takes a couple of minutes to loop around the horseshoe design of Minginui village. The 2 lone reminders of a once bustling hub is the long-abandoned local store with its mint green paint peeling off and the local post office. There's no gas station, local eatery, sports club or even a dairy. Local kaumātua Wahiri Iraya says when the forestry services closed, Minginui was left in a state of limbo.
In my father's and them's time, they thought that was the be-all, end-all, was that sort of mahi. But when the trees were depleted, the resource was depleted, nobody wanted to know us.
He remembers the pride people had in their homes and a community that was able to look after each other.
I can still vision seeing ngā tamariki. You could go into a home. The first thing that people say, hara mai te kai. You know you get a kai. You can't do this today. Everybody's too pohara.
He's already starting to see the positive change the nursery is bringing and believed in the direction the Ngāti Whare Runanga was taking.
When I look around at them as they work, I see a different person.
His cousin, Mereru Mason, also has fond memories of what Minginui used to be like.
Everything looked nice, you know. Everything was really lovely to come into the village and see things all done up, nice lawns all done, gardens and the trees all cut. You know, it was a beautiful little village.
And she still feels the burden of when all of that was taken away. What was it like to see the community disintegrate, I guess, or fall apart? And
it was sad. It was sad. People cried. when he came home.
Mereru Mason is hoping the nursery can bring jobs and people back home, but she wonders what to.
What are they going to come home to? Those houses over there have to be fixed. If those houses were fixed, I think everyone will come home. They can't come home and live with cousin or auntie or mum and dad again. They want to come home and live with their children in their own homes.
Te Kura Toitsu o Te Whaiti Nui a Toi is the local school, which also acts as the hub for high-speed broadband in Minginui. The school's principal, Josephine Gage, says the community has heard its fair share of promises from government officials and ministers in the past.
Someone might come in and paint a roof, and the next sort of group might come in and put some insulation under the houses. But all in all, our houses remain the same. They look the same, so. And yeah, nothing much changed. Nothing much has changed really, not since I've been back.
And she's cautious about the latest funding injection from the government and wonders about the long-term sustainability of returning to the forestry industry.
I think we're going to look at anything rather than forestry. We should be looking at food, agriculture, because that seems to be where everything's going. The Chinese economy is they're going to be looking for places to grow food soon. And I don't think they're going to eat trees.
Back at the nursery, workers are separating seeds collected from the forest floor of Te Whirinaki Te Pua a Tāne Conservation Park. Clayton Willoughby moved to Minginui from Porirua to live with his partner's whānau, and he says the job beats sitting on the couch.
It's actually been good having a job up here, sitting here for around 6 months to 7 months with no job, and then this pops up for everyone to get opportunity to get a job, get their life on track and everything. Yeah. It's been good.
Local Minginui resident Te Aue August is growing into her new role.
I've been finding it very good. It's something new for us to learn about our ngāhere as well as the seeds, where our trees come from.
And she can see the nursery playing a significant role in rebuilding the community.
For this nursery to come, it's brought a light over our village now. Things are starting to happen, people are starting to walk their talk.
The nursery will grow 1 million trees a year over the next 3 years to contribute towards the government's plans to plant 1 billion trees in the next 10 years. Mo te hōtaka o te ahi pōnei, ko John Boynton ahau.